Welcome to the Mid-Market Edge podcast, where we uncover operational insights for private equity-backed portfolio companies. I'm your host, Kevin Bonfield, and over the last 30 years, I've had the privilege of working with fast-growing entrepreneurial teams, helping them scale, tackle challenges, and seize new opportunities. On this show, we'll talk to industry experts and seasoned leaders who will share practical strategies to drive growth, boost efficiency, and create value in the mid-market. Get ready for an insightful, engaging conversation that dives deep into the real-world issues facing your business. I want to welcome Lynn Anstett today to the Mid-Market Edge. I've known Lynn for a number of years. Lynn is the founder of Stett Transportation, a logistics company, and I'm going to ask Lynn a little bit more about that in a second. But I've known Lynn through my member leadership journey at the Entrepreneurs Organization. And so we've worked together over a number of years. And Lynn was the global chair of EO in 2023, 2024. So we've had a lot of opportunity to talk about EO, some to talk about business. And I'm super excited to sit down and talk to you today about your business and the journey you went through.
Thank you, Kevin. I am the founder of Stett Transportation, which is a freight brokerage specifically servicing the chemical industry. We ship chemicals, liquid bulk, over the road, tank trucks, North America, and that's our elevator pitch. And I'm celebrating 31 years in business.
That's awesome. So we're going to talk about how you went through the process of preparing Stett for sale, but maybe you can give us a little bit of background. Like, how did you get started? Because obviously Stett was not the size that it was when you went through this process when you first got going.
No, it was not. So I started the company a little over 31 years ago, and I had 10 years experience in chemicals and trucking previously in different capacities. And I truly just saw an opportunity to broker freight for the chemical industry. There was a need. And I didn't have any money. I didn't have any assets. I was living paycheck to paycheck in a new marriage. And so I did the traditional things. I went to the bank looking for money, and they wouldn't loan me any money because, again, I didn't have any assets. So I started the company on credit cards. I didn't have bad credit. I just didn't have any credit. So I saved all the credit card offers that came in the mail, and I used them. Talk about a motivator for making sales calls, right? My husband was traveling for work, and he would bring me the yellow pages for chemical manufacturers and distributors. And yes, I am that many years old. And I would cold call. I would cold call from the yellow pages and try to convince people to let me coordinate their transportation. I had some relationships as I had worked in the industry for a number of years, so I had a few trusted relationships that would, excuse me, give me a chance. But I truly cold called, and I just let's say I called 10 new people every day, and my afternoons looked like follow-up information, and then just making sure I closed a percentage of those warm and cold leads. And that's how I started. I did that every day for a while. And at a certain point, it came to the point where I couldn't leave my chair, right? Because people were relying on me. Chemical plants were relying on me to handle their freight, or they might shut down. Um, so I had to hire some people. That was a new adventure for me. I had not done the hiring for any company previously, but I found some key people. I made a key hire. He's been with me 25 years now. And way back then, he covered my desk and I covered his, and it allowed me to step away. It allowed him to step away. And then at night, I was sitting in the floor in the basement office doing invoicing and collecting money and whatever else you can think of that a new company needs. Um, so that's a little bit about my background. It's just truly I saw an opportunity and I was just driven. I knew I had to take the chance, so I did.
That's incredible. Look, the description that you have of the yellow pages and going through and cold calling out to the yellow pages. I mean, for some people who, have lived their whole lives with LinkedIn, that seems like, I mean, that's hard work, right? You've got to absolutely put yourself out there and take the rejection to be able to get to the point of getting to the yes.
That's right. I mean, I guess today I feel a little hardened when people are like, "Oh, I can't close a deal. I can't, and they have so many more avenues than I had. Not that I'm better than others, but
Mm.
Stop the excuses and just go in and sell yourself and close the deal. It's just that simple, right? And you can follow a
Yeah.
process. I did, right? 7 to 9
Yeah.
touches and cycle them out to another list or whatever that looks like, but figure out if they have what you need and go for it.
Yeah, and that discipline, that every day, as you were saying, 10 calls, 10 calls, 10 calls, and eventually it compounds. That's great. So you said you made your first hire who's been, or your first hire who's been with you for this last 25 years, 6 years into the journey. Um, how do you think about like developing that leadership team so that you've got the people that you can rely on to grow the business?
There were other hires before him, but he was a key hire. And
Mm,
during that 6 years, and after I got this gentleman in the seat, I just it was kind of before it was really sexy, but I discovered and lived by a set of values, a mission myself, a set of values myself. I was driven. I did what I said I was going to do. I walked the walk kind of mentality. If you want to just stay really basic
hmm
like that, if you think about how long ago this was. And so when I realized that I worked with him. He used to haul my freight for me. He was a terminal manager at a trucking company in the Midwest in the United States. And I wanted someone like him to be the other me. And so after that, that was the minimum standard, if you will. Before I actually did the whole exercise of these are my core values, this is the mission of the company, I just knew that that was the minimum standard. And I didn't want to work with or for other people that didn't have that same set of values and that drive. It spilled over into my customer base and my vendor base. I if I mean, there are bad customers and bad vendors too, right? If they don't possess some
Right.
sort of a value system, and it can be anything from paying you in a timely manner to treating your employee horribly. I don't go for that. It's okay. There are other customers, so we can move on.
I always find that fascinating because I'll hear people say, well, you know what, we've actually not defined our values. We don't have values that are listed, but every company has a set of values or norms, right? About and culture, the way that they operate, and it's
Yeah.
fascinating, like finding somebody where you can go, that's the minimum. This is the person who is now setting the floor for excellence into the future, and to find them so early on in a journey, that's really cool.
Yep, it sets a standard and it is behavior, if you think about who you want to hang out with, kind of thing.
Right.
Like that, those are the people I want in my circle. Um, it is the minimum standard. And if you let other bad behaviors or bad actors in, it can create a
hmm
poison for the rest of the team as you grow.
Right.
Um, I do like, I just did a workshop with a client of mine to help them determine their mission and values, and they had some, but they were the gray words like trust and, I trust you, resilience, whatever. I'm like, and so we nailed it down with specific things that their team can tell stories about and own and remember the
hmm
elevator pitch. And that's the key. Then they can live by it.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. Um, for me, I remember having this conversation with my mother because my mother does a lot of this kind of work, and she was talking about values like integrity and honesty, and I was talking about values like we're fun and professional, right? And to me, the values should both attract the people that you really want and should repel the people that you don't want, right?
Exactly. And I think it sparks a conversation. And I don't know that you want to stay on this topic, but for example, one of Stett Transportation's core values is we deliver unicorns. And
hmm
what that means to our team is that we are constantly thinking outside the box. We are constantly setting ourselves apart from our competitors.
hmm
Quick story, we show up to deliver at a chemical plant, and the driver brought his dog. And pets are not allowed in this facility, so we can't unload your truck. You're looking
hmm
at shutting the plant down, lots and lots of hours with fees associated with it. So my broker called a local doggy spa, got the dog picked up, took him out for spa day, delivered him back to the truck driver when he was finished unloading. It was like $100.
Yeah.
So we deliver unicorns. So it's got to be meaningful to your team and have,
Yeah.
you know, have the ability for everyone to recite a story about it and support other team members using the values.
Yeah, I love that. We deliver unicorns. Awesome.
We do.
So you've built Stat, and now you're thinking about getting ready to go through a process for some form of transition, right? Give me a sense at this point, as you're thinking about this, you're how long into Stat's journey? Like, what's the relative size, people, that kind of thing.
So, I mean, there are different phases, right? You don't just grow or scale once. It happens a
Hmm.
couple of times, and you may outgrow a manager and have to move to the next manager. So it happens a couple of times, but I would say at a certain point, I don't know, maybe I had 8 revenue generating freight brokers, but I also had other like accounting team members. And it
Hmm.
became so obvious that I was doing a poor job of answering all of them in a timely manner. It became just really obvious that it was more than one person could reasonably manage, right?
Hmm.
Then you have to move into hiring the next manager. And after a couple of iterations of that, I would say, I don't know, I don't remember, Kevin. Let's say I got to 20 employees, and most of them are revenue generators, and I was burning out. I can tell you it was probably around year 16-ish, 17-ish.
Hmm.
I was burning out. Freight brokering is hard. It's not for the faint of heart. A
Hmm.
lot of industries are that way. I'm not special, but I'm like, I think I'm going to sell it. I'm going to grow it and sell it. But during this period of time, my middle child, older son, had graduated college and he came to work for us and he was freight brokering. He was just hunting and killing and managing a load board for us. And I
Hmm.
realized he was a pretty good leader. I realized people were calling on him for advice or direction. And so when I got to the point of like maybe some other entrepreneurs that watch this will resonate, I'm like, I got to figure this out because I cannot be the one answering all these calls all the time anymore. And I'm tired and just
Right.
burnout. So I asked him, I'm like, I'm ready for the next leader. If you're interested, the job's in Cincinnati. And by the way, he didn't live in Cincinnati. And I had bought a building in Cincinnati. So he came to town and I just started including him in everything.
Hmm.
Um, Now, if you're the child of the owner, a lot of people aren't a fan of having, family succession plans, but we
Right.
have boundaries in my family and they seem to work. It's not perfect, but it works. I just started including him in every single meeting I went to for probably 6 months, every phone call, every meeting. And it meant that we had to start distributing his accounts to other brokers because you can't do both. You really can't.
Right.
Um, and I would say after about 6 months, he was taking over a few things. And this probably didn't happen until like year 19-ish. Um, and then there were a few pieces like in our world we deal with contaminated loads or spills. We shut down highways. We have OSHA involved different. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous thing we do.
Right.
And we handle those important aspects. And it took a little while for him to be more trained and more comfortable with taking the calls for the spills or the contaminated loads, if you will. But he's been actually running the company for 10 plus years now, which is probably when I met you. If we really think about
Yeah.
it, I was bored. I was bored. So
Right.
I exited my company successfully, just
Yeah.
transitioned to leadership. And I was
Hmm.
bored, so I went into leadership and EO.
And so at this point, then he's running the company. He's the leader. He's got his own leadership team.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got his own leadership team. I did not sell, obviously, at that point. I didn't even go to market. I did go to market just a few years ago with him in the leadership role.
Hmm.
Or a lot of curiosity, but I don't believe that you really know what you're worth until you have an actual buyer or six.
Hmm. Or
Um,
six.
or six. And I didn't know what I didn't know. I was feeling super validated when 6 people wanted in my data room.
Right.
So I did a lot of work before and during my son's leadership to really create solid process and accountability in each section of the company. Um,
Hmm.
really running it every year as if it's for sale. It's ready.
Hmm.
Um, so the data room build out wasn't too difficult. Um, and I learned what my worth was. The problem that I encountered, and I walked away. I still own the company today, and my son still runs it. It's going great, while other freight brokerages are not. And I believe that's because of system and accountability. Like nothing else is
Right.
going to work for us. I walked away because of culture, and I used an M&A
Mm.
firm. I built out the data room. I learned several important pieces of things that are important to a buyer or things that are not important to a buyer. It turns out it was a private equity firm, and I got so caught up in the sexy 8-figure dump in my bank account that
Yep.
I just raced to the finish line, supplying all the information, saying, no, this is my number, take it or leave it. Like I got even a bit cocky. I'm not sure that was appropriate, but I did. And then they were interviewing my leader. They didn't want me. I hadn't run the company in a few years. And so
Right.
he would come back and he's like, "Hey, they're going to cut this or they want to go a different direction on that." And I had just worked so hard to get
Hmm.
like to build a real company, like delivering
Hmm.
solid and amazing benefits to my team. I
Hmm.
had mentored some people into the roles that they were currently serving that they never thought they would have the capability of doing. So
Hmm.
after a couple of pretty intense conversations with my son, it's like it's culture. We were never about the money, Mom. He's telling me it was never about the money for you. If you get the right people in the right seat, you do the right stuff, you walk the walk, the money
Hmm.
comes. And so 5 minutes, I'd say 5 minutes after conversation number two, I called and I canceled the deal. And we were 2 weeks from close.
Wow.
I,
So how did you, let's maybe we can run back a little bit here, Lynn. When you started down the path of looking at for a potential buyer, was there a trigger? I mean, you said that you were running the business so that it was an asset that could be sold. I mean, you put the
Mhm.
right leadership in place, you had the SOPs, right? What was the thing that triggered going through that process? Was it literally just trying to find what the worth was, or was there something specific?
No, so I'm very specialized. If you think about chemicals, trucking, 3PL, logistics in a big picture, I'm very specialized.
Yep.
Well, not only, but let's say 90 to 95% of my business is liquid bulk and tankers, as I mentioned earlier, over the road. And there are so many freight brokerages that do not do that. I'm one of the
Hmm.
few. So I got hit with emails, either me or my leadership team. We got hit with emails and calls multiple times each month for years. Like, are you
Yeah.
going to sell? Are you going to sell? And so the trigger was that someone that was in the EO community, who I generally trust, not everyone, but generally,
Mm.
said, "Hey, I think this one might be a call you want to take."
Yeah.
So I did, and I went down the path with them. I think the learnings and the interest, I did have an interest in understanding my worth.
Yeah.
Um, and the M&A firm were helpful, but not, I don't know. I think I was a better negotiator. I got that multiple up pretty good. So anyway, but it was triggered by someone I knew saying this is one
Yeah.
maybe you want to have this conversation. So
Yeah.
I did, and it was
I,
it was shocking to them when I walked. I got a lot of calls within the next 20 minutes, like, what are you
I'm
doing?
sure you did. I'm sure you did.
I'm like,
Well,
I'll
it's
be fine.
there's always the watching it on different sides, Lynn. There's always the, oh, I think this is going to close. It's going to close. It's going to close in the next couple of weeks. It should be fine, right? We've still got some stuff to do. But yeah, there are deals that don't. So was that you talked about, you talked about the conversations about this is what we think we're going to do with the business once the transaction is completed. Were you rolling into another business, or was Stett going to be the platform?
It was a private equity firm that was buying us, and embarrassing a little bit, but It's okay. I didn't know. I wasn't that familiar with the different types of buyers or deal
Yeah.
structures. So they were going to roll us into a larger entity and we would be the liquid bulk division of this freight
Right.
brokerage 3PL larger thing. Um, and I just don't, I didn't need that. And I really think there's an opportunity for people who think like I do and care a lot about their
Hmm.
people and the culture to go at a deal a little differently.
Hmm.
A little disruption to the traditional M&A. They have their kind of worksheet and here's what we do first and here's what we do second. And I think you
Yeah.
do the first and second thing last on their worksheet. And I just have different ideas, not fully baked, but um, I will certainly go at it a different way if I go to market again.
Yeah, one of the things that, because I've had this conversation a couple of times with different people, it's almost like um, going through the process helps you understand what it is that you're looking for. Uh,
Mm.
and and sometimes I wonder if it would be helpful to actually spend the time and think about that, or not think about that, but work that out at the beginning. It's not that people haven't thought about it. It's that sometimes they don't know and they need to have these conversations to say, I thought I wanted this, but actually I don't.
Yes, so in my advising or coaching, whatever term you want to use, I am helping people think about removing owner dependency
Hmm.
and helping them think about what they want. They can maybe tell you what they want, Kevin, but maybe they hadn't really thoroughly thought about what they need. So if
Uh,
it sells and you're 40 and
yep.
you still have three mortgages because you bought a lot of houses or whatever, and you still got to get three kids through college and
Mhm.
you lived to 90, I don't think this is your number. Let's talk about it. Let's get your plan for the next 3 to 5, and then you might be ready, right? So
Right.
there's some conversations like that. And then just kind of helping people decide if they are a lifestyle business or
Hmm.
if they are really a scaled, sellable, go-to-market company with the clean P&L. Helping them clean up their P&L is something that is a good idea. I also don't think, I mean, once you cross the threshold of like you're not still trying to close your first deal, you got some business and you're getting 1 million or 2 million or whatever in revenue, it's time to think about your
Right.
exit strategy. What does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that this idea of is this a lifestyle business versus is this an asset that is ready? And
Mhm.
yours was kind of an interesting intersection where it was that an asset that was ready, but it wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
something that you wanted to. I mean, you found out during the process that you didn't want to move it on.
Yeah, exactly. If I go back a ways, I had to learn how to make it a business, a true business, not,
Hmm.
I mean, I started in my basement. I made up commission rates. I made up stuff that wasn't scalable. Like,
Right.
I didn't have any overhead, so I was overpaying people and had to organize new structures of payment and different,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? So there was a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
learning in there, I got that through the Entrepreneurial Masters program,
Hmm.
offered by EO, actually.
Yeah. So, so you learn what it is that you're looking for. Maybe it's a number, but the other piece, I'm wondering if you see that. I'm wondering if you saw this during your process, or maybe even with the work that you're doing now. There's a second piece that I see, which is it's almost like the identity of the entrepreneur. It's so wrapped up in the company itself that you get to the end, you go, well, I can't actually see myself not running this company. And that causes dissonance as well. Or they sell the company and they come out the other side and they go, well, what do I do now? I don't know who I am.
Yes, I've experienced it a couple of times as I'm
Yeah,
in my third act, if you will. And I have seen other people like you're just so busy. You're in the busyness of the business, whatever that
right,
is, or the leadership role.
right.
And then you're done. And you thought it was a great
Yes,
idea, right? To do it and then be done. And but thinking about what's next and the identity tied to the company or tied to any role, um, especially if it's been years in the making. It's really a mind game, like to think about who am I without this,
right.
right? Like who am I
Yeah,
going forward? And just getting back to the core of who you are so that it's not tied to a specific role or company. Like a lot of our friends have multiple companies. They buy and
Right.
sell and but it happens and it's really hard to just wake up the next day and you're like, oh, what am I going to do now? And who am I
Right.
really?
Right. I think that there's a transactional piece, right? Where um, everybody came to you for decisions and you got all of these emails and then the email gets shut off. That's one piece.
Yeah.
But the other is the you get, you're out and you get asked, oh, so what do you do? Well, I have a company and this is what it does versus, well, I'm trying to work that out. I sit at home and I've not worked out what it is that I do right now.
Oh, let me give you my answer. Because I'm on my third act, right?
Yeah,
My answer is I help out when asked. Not really marketing that I help out, but I will.
right.
But I fill my calendar with a lot of fun things. It might
Awesome.
be helping out, it might be hiking, it might be meet me in Marrakesh, it might be, and my answer is yes. Send me the link.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, just keep moving, keeping my brain engaged. The whole coaching or advisory thing, I need my brain to continue exercising,
yeah,
as well as the other fun things I populate my calendar with. So,
yeah.
but
That's
that's my
good.
answer, man. If you got to fill your calendar with fun things. Make sure you got a
Yeah.
network and you invite and they invite you to a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, no, you definitely need that on the other side. So your role to couple of additional questions. So your role with Stett now, what do you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis with Stett? How do you engage with them?
It's not daily or weekly.
Okay.
It's as needed. I'm an advisor to the leadership team.
Hmm.
I have a family accounting office housed at my Stett Transportation headquarters, if you will. So
Hmm.
I have other interests, um, maybe real estate, maybe consulting, maybe
Hmm.
whatever, a nonprofit. So
Hmm.
I'm an advisor on all of those things, and it's sort of like a family office. It includes meetings probably 2 to 3 times a year that are very deep and engaging on the financials of each entity and also Stett
Hmm.
Transportation. It would include my CPA, my financial advisor, the leader of each entity, plus me.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
not too formal, but like we put a date on the calendar and we go for it.
That's awesome. And then you talked about the consulting or the coaching, mentoring that you're doing now. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about that because that is a different set of conversations that you're having where you don't own the business.
I didn't really know I was going to do this, but
Mhm.
people would ask, "Can you help with this or that?" And I'm like, "Wow, I have had those experiences, so why not
Right.
share them?" So I have just a few clients. I got a startup, I got a $2 million, I got an $8 million client. I'm getting ready to work with a $50 million client. And the focus is just digging in and figuring out what's not working.
Hmm.
What's not working, what's keeping you up at night. And then helping them I clearly identify their vision for whatever entity it is and helping them build like a 1 and a 5 year plan and back it into
Hmm.
quarterly goals assigned to a person, not
Yeah.
them, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
So, and what happens is it has me get involved in the people part, like it's people, process, accountability, cash flow, right? So every time I start digging in, it's and I get the process and accountability going with
Yeah.
these leaders, let's say the C-suite, it always fishes out those underperformers, those people that have just been hiding. And so then we have people quitting, and it's like, oh, shit. Like, I'm like, okay, it's all right. I have a hiring process. We'll get to work on this. But
Right.
there's usually a few people that run because they can't hide anymore. So, um, it's the marrying up of process accountability, right people, right seat. it I build out training workshops to try and understand if maybe they haven't been trained properly. Maybe the people aren't clear on the expectations,
Hmm.
and their job description isn't clear. We go there first, decide if they're coachable and if we can elevate them, that's great.
Yeah.
If not, then you got to map that out, right? So,
How do you find that, Lynn? You know, you've been in the seat, you've owned the business, and now you're looking at it from the outside in. What's the difference? Like, what does that feel like, you know, being in versus being out?
um, in versus out is part of that mindset we talked about a few minutes ago, right?
Hmm.
As you transition out, you have to find that defined period in time when you do not answer the questions anymore because they need to follow the new leader. And
Okay.
you have to refer, you have to say, I'm sorry, I can't answer that. I'll need you to check with so and so, whatever role that's in. And
Hmm.
then watching from the outside on the
Mm.
things I've built, it's just, well, I guess there's a sense of pride, um, accomplishment. Um, I'm just mostly proud of the team. And I say that often. If I get copied in on emails from any of the teams,
Yep.
like, wow, this is happening because you guys like are living the values and you're doing the hard work,
Right.
right? So it's really pride in the team. Satisfaction, getting the right people in the right seats is so cool.
Yeah.
Growing people is even cooler, right? If they just were unclear on how to do the thing and you teach them
Yeah.
how to do the thing and then they realize their dreams and they realize their financial goals. And I'll tell you at some of our annual parties, holiday parties, my son started this, but he'll share some data, some financial, but he shares like how many team members bought a new house this year,
Oh, really?
or
Oh,
how
how
much we
cool.
gave to charity, or
Hmm.
it's not about how much the owners got. It's about elevating the team, and that's what he
Yeah.
shows at annual meetings.
Yeah, that's so good. One of the things I just want to come back on is your comment about you can put the leadership team in place and you can be clear on what the roles are, but until you step out and you say, no, I'm sorry, I can't make that decision. That's now this person's decision. It doesn't make it real, right? You continue to be the node until you push it back into the organization.
100%. And you create confusion the longer you
Hmm.
stay engaged. The best way to handle that is to answer with copying the new leader in for a defined period of time. And this
Yep.
on this date, you answer. If you have a question, you privately message me.
Hmm.
Like all the decisions are yours. They don't need to know that I was in your ear if you had a
Right.
question on some crazy thing. But you have to make that transition. It takes a minute. It takes a minute to
Yeah.
just, make sure you're not creating chaos. Like you create chaos if you keep answering people and it's not the direction
Yep.
the leader, the identified leader is going. You have to just let them go.
Right.
And you know what? They're going to make mistakes. And you got to let them,
Right. I
you
think
know?
that getting your leadership team ready so that they can operate by themselves really does make a massive difference in terms of the company being something that can be sold rather than it's essentially you and some people. There's a massive difference there in
There
terms of
really,
being ready for sale.
there really is. And remaining the owner, there are accountability pieces for the leadership team.
Hmm.
Um, I look at a dashboard, not weekly. I don't know, maybe monthly or quarterly. And I can tell in a flat minute if a number's off on a P&L or whatever. And I'd say in the last 8 years, I say, hey, I was noticing blah blah blah. The response from anyone on the leadership team, we got it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
All right, thank you.
So I tend to ask this question at the end of every podcast. But if you were to look back today with all of the experience and expertise that you have now as a result of going through the growth of Stett and then the sale process and ultimately deciding to keep it, what would you do differently?
Oh, I didn't know I was going to say this, by the way, but I think it's good. I would remove fear-based decision making.
Oh,
I
tell me
would
more about
trust
that.
my gut. I'm a good human, like any leader. If you're a good human and you know you're a good human, you operate with values, remove the fear-based decision making in anything you do, right? You
Yeah.
might make a mistake, but
Yep.
it's okay. And then you can course correct. You can say I made a mistake and go again. But I think in the years past, it probably not all that long ago, I would be sitting with something like, oh my gosh, like, should I do this? Should I not?
Mm,
And but if you hit go and you're the leader, you can course correct and you can admit your mistakes and move forward.
yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Okay. So, Len, last thing. If somebody wants to work with you in your new role as a coach for businesses that are growing,
Mhm.
where's the best place for them to reach out to you so that they can work with you?
My website is stettleadership.com, or I can
Great.
be emailed at Lynn, Lynn, at stett.net.
It's one of the shortest emails that I think I send emails to. So that's great. So stettleadership.com and Lynn, Lynn, at stett.net.
That's
Wonderful.
me.
I wanted to say thank you for you joining me today on the Mid-Market Edge. This was a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much.
Kevin, I can't thank you enough. It's always fun to work with you and see you, and I love your approach to things, and I really appreciate your interest in my journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in to the Mid-Market Edge podcast. For more information, visit the Mid-Market Edge website at midmarketedge.com. Details are in the show notes. Remember to subscribe and like the show so you'll never miss an episode. And until next time, keep building your edge in the mid-market.